In her early 30s, with no striking beauty and twice a widow, Catherine Parr was just one of many at the royal court, and no one bet on her. Yet it was she whom Henry VIII began to court after losing his fifth wife. The prospect of becoming the sixth, would she be the last? Initially, Lady Latimer, as she was known at the time, was frightened by the king's persistence. She knew the stories of the 5 previous queens, which were, to put it mildly, not cheerful. Was it ambition or genuine affection that played a role? Ultimately, Catherine became yet another wife of Henry Tudor. She was neither poor nor of low birth, as she is sometimes portrayed. Catherine's lineage included the Plantagenets. Her father was a descendant of Edward III, and the Neville's, among whom was the famous Maker of Kings. Catherine's mother was considered a friend of Catherine of Aragon, the English queen, and the girl was named in her honor. Interestingly, this first wife of Henry VIII was the godmother of his last wife. While her education might have been limited to basic knowledge in sewing, Catherine Parr showed a keen desire to learn. By the age of 17, she was fluent in Latin, French, and Italian, and soon she was married. Historians debate the details of this marriage. Some believe her husband was the elderly Edward Burrough, while others, including historian Linda Porter, argue that she married the young and sickly Edward Burrough the Younger. In any case, the marriage did not go well, and within a couple of years, Catherine was widowed, having had no children from that union. A few years later, Catherine remarried. Her second husband was significantly older, nearly twice her age. John Neville, the third Baron Latimer, was a third cousin of Catherine's father. He was a widower, well-off, and owned a large castle with extensive lands. He also had children from his first marriage, making Catherine their stepmother. Their family life appeared to be quite warm. When the Lincolnshire Rising occurred and rebels invaded Snape Castle, Catherine herself negotiated and bravely defended the children. Not every woman could maintain her composure in such a situation. However, history unfolded in the capital, and for the sake of the family, John Neville moved to London. By the middle of the 16th century, the family was permanently settled there. It was during this time that Catherine first caught the eye of King Henry VIII. Unlike the cheerful and frivolous court beauties, Lady Latimer stood out for her sound judgment and calm demeanor. By then, her husband was seriously ill, and Catherine understood that difficult days lay ahead. Yet, for her own sake, as well as for her stepson and stepdaughter, she tried to hold herself together. Once again, those around her applauded her resilience and patience. Her elderly husband passed away, and immediately 2 suitors emerged: Sir Thomas Seymour, brother of the late Queen Jane, and Henry VIII Tudor himself. As a wealthy widow, Catherine could have chosen to remain single. She was well provided for the rest of her life. But she accepted the king's proposal and donned the English crown. The courtiers chuckled. The third Catherine for Henry VIII. After Aragon and Howard, Catherine Parr's first concern as queen was the children. She successfully placed her stepdaughter in her own ladies-in-waiting, and her stepson's wife received another position at court. But she also gained 3 new stepchildren, Prince Edward and Princesses Mary and Elizabeth, who were Henry's children from previous marriages. Catherine managed to build close and affectionate relationships with at least 2 of them, Edward and Elizabeth. Mary, however, was more distant, and their differing attitudes toward faith set them apart. Catherine Parr welcomed the Anglican Church, while Mary vehemently rejected it. In England, it was common to intrigue against women in power, and despite her kindness and lack of conflict, Catherine Parr also had her share of enemies. The Bishop of Winchester began to turn the king against her. Unable to concoct a scandal like those involving Howard or Boleyn, they played the religious card instead. They even found a replacement for Catherine in the Duchess of Suffolk. But the queen proved to be shrewder. She discovered an order for her arrest among her husband's papers and managed to convince the king otherwise. The storm passed her by. There were other threats, of course, but Catherine Parr consistently managed to save her own life. This constant state of living on a volcano only ended with the king's death. Thus, Catherine Parr became the last wife of the Tudors. Although the king, in his dying will, requested that she be treated as the English sovereign, Catherine wisely stepped back into the shadows right after the coronation of her stepson Edward. And it was at this point that Thomas Seymour reemerged. His proposal was the same as before, He would be thrilled if the lovely lady agreed to become his wife. And the third Catherine of Henry VIII said yes. Their fourth wedding was a quiet affair in May of that same year. Perhaps this marriage was the most successful for Catherine, despite rumors of Seymour's infidelities. At least now, she no longer had to fear for her life, adjust to others, or worry about the welfare of someone else's children. Soon, it became clear that she would become a mother, something that had not happened in any of Catherine Parr's previous unions. She was overjoyed with her new status. The last summer of Lady Seymour's life was spent at Sudeley Castle in Gloucestershire, where her daughter Mary was born. Unfortunately, the midwives of the 16th century were not familiar with such a simple yet crucial practice as hand-washing. After giving birth to her daughter, Catherine Parr fell ill with a fever and died. Little is known about Mary Seymour. She was taken in by the Duchess of Suffolk, but mentions of the girl end around the year 1550. This usually indicates that the child died in infancy.